Chapter 13. The Plan. So fellow pounders, in order to win the bet, we are going into the construction business. And what we'll construct is a machine. All the components will be based on human psychology. We're pounders. We know all mankind and how to exploit him. And as always, we'll use the power of the mind. With that you can do anything. And we know how to manipulate it. That's what makes us rulers of the earth. Our knowledge. We have over the years put humans in all kinds of thinkable situations to experiment with the mind, to collect data that will help us staying in charge. And the conclusion we'd come to is that we can take advantage of the fact that mankind is based on two characters, soul and brain. Those two components makes the human mind. The soul feeds on love, and the brain feeds on fear. They can each completely take over, but most of the time they are in some kind of balance, having their daily fights. Those fights will take place in three different worlds, also called dimensions. Humans have the ability to shift dimensions and can operate within the third, fourth and fifth. The third represent fear. The fifth is pure love. The fourth is in between and helps humanity to see the difference. Here we have the battle between love and fear, and man will constantly shift between those. You can describe dimension as different realities within the same person. And what I'll refer to later as the human mind is the mix of those realities. The one reality is powered by fear and the other is powered by love. And your actions will reflect which reality you're operating in. The main purpose of the human experience is to make the shift from the third to the fifth dimension, using the fourth as a stepping stone. Love and fear are two natural forces that help men progress. The universal plan is to let fear tear things down so it can be built up again on love. We can't beat the universe in the long run because love will always win. What we will focus on is to delay the process just enough to win the bet. So for my plan to work we need humanity to stay in the third dimension of fear. With the right psychology, we can favorize one or the other. The souls cannot be manipulated. But we can let the brain get so much power that the souls don't stand a chance. But mankind can't live without a soul, because the souls make mankind feel good. So we have to trade humanity's soul for something else that'll make him feel good. And since we're such big assholes with great big pounder humor, we will trade mankind's soul for crap. It's important to see mankind as an individual and as a species, and we will exploit both. If you can manipulate the collective mind of all man, you can modulate the way he sees himself and by that, change his behavior. And in the end, get full control. This new system only have one main thing to focus on, to make it work. And that is, that a shift to the fifth dimension is only possible if man loves himself. So the idea is to keep him at the bottom of the third dimension where love is so scarce that you can't even find love for your own goddamn self. The lowest, darkest and densest place in the known universe where mega Nazi beavers rules. And eat your ding ding for breakfast. The president scratched his nuts a bit under the big robe he was wearing, and looked like he lost it for a little while. And he looked like it was a really nice nut scratch at the right time, because timing is very important when it comes to nut scratching. And he looked real happy, but he quickly came back and smiled at Edison. He almost already loved him as his son, being such a big asshole. So folks, this machine is a beautiful design. Mankind have always looked for a device that produces more energy than he puts in. This is such a machine. This machine runs on two types of energy, either good or bad. And since we are the worst assholes ever, this machine produces that energy. And when it's working, there's no way stopping it. It is constantly on the move based on negative elements that will enhance each other until the prophecy is fulfilled and man is choking on his own goddamn crap with his head up his own ass until he is dead. So today, April 1st, 1866, is the first day in the rest of our lives of making mankind's new reality a living hell. We will call it Fool's Day. So gentlemen, until the machine is rolling, you gotta show the world what an asshole with absolutely no respect really can do. I know this plan will work. The only thing that can stop it is if all mankind unite against it. But that's never gonna happen. Because my machine eliminates any possibilities for mankind to unite through the power of love. Because there won't be any love left. That little love there is in the third dimension is concentrated on your friends and family. But that kind of love starts wars, and it is one of the biggest illusions of that dimension. Real love is universal love, and it's love for everything. The other one is just gay. My plan is to keep him from entering the fifth dimension. To enter that you have to heal yourself both, emotional and physical. Third dimensional brains say, let me get my things in place, then I'll find peace. Fifth dimensional souls say, let me find peace and then sort things out. And guess what? They'll never find peace in this mean machine, but they think they will, and that's all we need. We will basically trick all human brain to think the opposite of what it's made for. You need peace to think, and you need to think to find love. Love is now. The third dimensional brain of fear operates in the future and in the past, to take care of stuff, to be safe. There's no peace out there in pretending world. So the more fear, the more pretending, the less now, and finally, the less love. Pretty simple. We don't like love. Fuck you love. And fuck you, right now, fucking homos. So dear assholes, we will make the biggest robbery of the whole goddamn universe. We will steal, right now, from all humanity, by letting him focus on something else. That little trick will rock the delicate balance within a human design. We all know the laws of cause and effect. And it's a universal law that influences everything. If you add the free will to cause and effect, you have the engine of everything. And when humans are receiving information, it will react and use the free will to make the best of any situation. The string of command within that reaction is, as the first thing, you get an emotional response. After that they'll get a physical response, which is the way the souls communicate. And then finally, it reaches the brain to create a thought, which again will produce a reaction. And that thought will help you navigate. And the right thought helps you choose the right reaction in order to survive. Guided by the soul, which is the main purpose of all living creatures. And that is the natural design of all humans. Our little trick is to distort the chain of command, so the character of the thought will change, by inventing a whole new range of dangers that he had never seen before. And mankind is not ready for that new dangerous stuff we will invent in this machine. And it will, according to my numbers, take approximately 200 years to see the scam, and to let the souls get in control. And that's all what we need. He will be forced to defend himself from the coming dangers using the only defense system the brain is equipped with. And that is to focus on himself and his own. So, dear assholes, we'll move the brain up first in the line, and diminish the connection to the emotional response. And we will let the brain get more power that it's designed for, in order to create a self-destructive reaction to its inputs. And it will be adjusted by fear. And the poor brain will have to work overtime to compensate for the lack of informations from the feelings. That is the soul language. And brains are not designed to work alone. They need help to be controlled. And when the chain of command is distorted, the mind gets vulnerable. So from then on it's pretty simple. Because brains in this condition feeds on fear. That's within the human design. And with a distorted defense filter, they won't be able to distinguish between real danger or the things we are telling them to be afraid of. And what we want is to make people afraid of the machine, but at the same time put him in a position where he can't survive without supporting it. And if you don't play by the rules of the machine, you won't survive. So basically all humans will overrule the feelings by satisfying the demands of the machine, controlled by fear, and he won't even know he's afraid after a generation or two. So the basic idea of this whole plan is to rock the delicate defense system of all humans. People will still be born with that system, but we will manipulate it from the day it's born. And when it's ready to work for us, it will be a changed person. That person will have a hard time experience the moment in time we call right now, where the love is. And it's the only thing that can stop my plan. Pure universal, unconditional love for all the creation. That is our worst enemy. But my new humans will be as far from that as it can get when my plan works. In fact, we want mankind to be so far from loving and respecting all the creation that he will ruin his own basis for existing. At that time my grandpa's stinky poo stink had stunk out the cracks of the broom closet and reached the head pounder's nose. He could see out the crack that he really looked pissed off, and shouted, "Who the fuck is crapping his pants at a big important pounder meeting?" And they all looked at Edison. Because they all were experts in assholes, so they knew that it was a brand new ass smell. And really stinky too. And since it was his first meeting, it could only be him. And that was my grandpa's luck, cause he would not dare to think about the things they'd do to his sore Indian ass if they caught him in a closet at a big secret pounder meeting. But Edison really got upset and refused to know anything about no crappy pants, and he was loudly defending himself. And the other pounders got mad too, because it was mega stinky, until the headman calmed them down and looked at Edison with a fatherly smile and said, "I am proud of you, son. A man crapping his own pants with a big stinky mud monkey at his first pounder meeting must be the worst asshole ever. And you're so generous that you won't even take credit for it. God damn it, Stinky." And he looked genuinely proud at the young scientist. And this one, Edison, is so stinky, it brings tears to my eyes. And for that, I respect you. At this time Edison had given up defending himself. But Edison didn't crap no pants. It's a disgusting habit. And now they all thought it was him. And he would be sad if they didn't respect him as the real asshole he was, instead of a crappy pants asshole. That's just gay. And the head pounder continued, while Edison looked really pissed off. So here it goes. To repeat it, fellow pounders, the bet is to make all mankind into ants, ruled by parents, all with their heads up their asses choking on their own crab, laughing all the way. So, in order to make mankind choke on his own crab, we'll have to produce a lot of crab. And to stick the head up his butt, we'll take away man's ability to think for himself. To make ants, we have to fit every individual into a role where they can see only the part they are operating, but not the whole picture. And, of course, we need them to work their asses off. And to be ruled by parents, we'll just find the biggest assholes and let them repeat what we're dictating. But first thing first, we need to let God go. And my granddad could hear a reaction from the council, while the head guy looked at Edison making a break, and said, "It sure is a stinky one you're packing, son. And for that I respect you." And he kept on. Yes. And, easy now, boys. Good old God. He was needed at a time where mankind was at a lower state of consciousness. But the natural evolution of the mind is starting question that paradigm. In other words, they are getting too clever to believe in fairy tales. The humans are growing on the evolutionary scale. But back then, when we invented religion, we basically did the same thing as we will create with my new plan. And dear pounders, the best idea ever We placed God outside the human mind and not inside. That means that your reality is controlled by an external power. And after we placed the God concept in people's head, we began to write the Bible and created a real nasty asshole that just randomly punished people. He'd worked hard for us for so many years and he'd been really scary, as he was supposed to. And I know you all respect him for all those arms and legs he'd been ripping off little girls. But again, it seems like people is beginning to see the trick, which basically means that nothing you'll ever do is good enough. And it's mega scary. And I know you all remember all that joy and fun we had back in those days when we wrote the Bible, and all the good pounder fun we had back then being mega assholes, inventing hell and all the other nasty stuff. The most hilarious trick ever. Religion is a super way to control masses by placing their belief system in a position where you put your faith in an external power instead of your own. That have kept the majority of mankind in a tight grip because he simply didn't understood the concept of a biblical God, because it's wrong. The God phenomenon is within. Because if you understand what's within you will see the great connection. And in there everything is God. Not a mean old and predictable bastard. Having fun reaping of arms and legs of all kinds of nice people. So the two basic misconceptions of the religious belief system is that God is controlling your existence instead of yourself. And the consequence is that if you want to be safe, you'll have to follow what God has written. And if you don't understand the basic concept of an external God, you will interpret it as that you're not believing enough and by that overcompensate and spread the word further on so nobody can see that you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And everybody's suddenly on a mission saving the world, while they're keeping themselves away from exploring and seek the knowledge that will share some light over the matter. Of course we had a problem when Jesus showed up, and he made a lot of damage before we got him crucified, but we had to write the Bible, version 2, which became a bestseller, and by that we had two persons backing the story. And Jesus used to be human, and we exploited that. That made it more credible. And that was great with some new blood to the religion and he helped us keeping mankind in a tight grip for an extra 2,000 years. By using a little pretty clever trick. And we made him the first rock star in the history of humans. And though he is saying over and over again that mankind should look for answers within themselves, they are so fucking stupid that they are looking after him instead. And just repeating him with the head up their goddamn religious asses. But, dear friends, they are not buying it anymore. We have had our fun with religion. And God's gone old and weak and he's not really that scary anymore. And Jesus I don't really know about. Seems like he's always sniffing around somewhere. Real creepy. Last I heard he was in the valley with his stepdad, sniffing around over there. And God, he really need to take good care of his dates over there so we won't all suffocate from stinky vagina gases. Even we, the most powerful men in the whole wide world, can't fight a stinky vagina. We can't even nuke them. They'll scare off the missiles and turn right back at us. And guys, we need things that are a lot more scary than God. But I'll come to that later. The point is, to win this bet, we're gonna completely rethink our possibilities. Old is bad, and God is old. And since mankind loves machinery so much these days, we'll replace God with a machine. And for the good fun of it, we'll let mankind drive it himself to extinction. Smiling all the way. That's serious pounding. We have always controlled man, but we got to set him free and govern himself. And of course that will put our position in danger. But don't worry assholes. When this machine is rolling, we have changed mankind's behavior to fit the society they're living in and not the other way around. The machine have a big variety of components that we'll discuss later. But the single most important is the children. As long as we got them, we've got it all. And here's the plan, folks. We all know about those stupid things they invented called schools, that make people think. We have done our best to close that little silly chapter by telling the teachers that beating up the children make them learn much more. And the more you beat, the clever they get. And nothing works if you beat up mankind too much. So in this machine we will only stick to a little nut slapping. So he'll never forget that as a bender. But we have to rethink schools and tell them that school is good. And try to treat the children nice. Even if they are homos. The basic idea is to educate people just enough to believe what they are told but not enough to question it. And in these schools we teach mankind that the most important thing to focus on is to maintain the machine, and about nothing else, all the time. And in the schools, they'll get the manual, and we will write it. Remember guys, like we once wrote the Bible. And in those manuals, we can construct any machine we want. It could be a nice little inefficient machine where everybody was happy having sweet butt sex. By focus on the power of love. But that's just super gay, and we're real big assholes. And we do asshole stuff. But we know mankind. There's gotta be a point. Otherwise he loses interest. So we'll build the schools on competition. And the winner of the competition are the ones who are the best at maintaining the machine, and therefore the best to repeat what's in the manual. Competition is the fuel. That's what makes it alive. But competition comes two ways, good and bad. The one makes the machine survive in a healthy state, and the other will destroy it. Competition turns bad when people get too scared of losing. So we'll control it with fear. And fear got all her naughty children. Like hate and all the other nice stuff. But in this machine, we'll mainly focus on greed. And it's so clever, because if you compete against greed, you can't win, because greed never stops. This is the most destructive competition ever, and we want a bad competition. Now we're such big assholes. And the machine runs on bad energy. And, again, the only thing that can stop it is, if all humanity unites against it, then it runs out of fuel according to universal laws. But that's just not possible. With this plan, this competition will be a reality for all human, just as soon as they're able to register it. And we'll keep it all the way up their childhood years. And in those years we can bend them in any direction we want, because they'd be fucked up and vulnerable due to the competition. And in this system, mankind will focus on the position he's got within it. And eventually it will be more important for the parents to focus on preparing the kids for the competition, and therefore will be manipulated 24/7, and after a couple of generations. Competition is the only force that drives mankind. Souls don't care much for competition. They want peace. You don't find peace during a competition. You will find it when it's over. And they'll never find peace nowhere on earth when this is rolling. Due to the simple fact that the competition will never be over. That lack of peace will change the human character. And, basically, we'll turn mankind into assholes like us. And they'll be caught up in the illusion. And that will keep all the dangerous ideas away. So here comes a really genius move. As said before, we'll let the winner of the competition be the ones who are the best to repeat the books we are writing. And those winners get to be in charge. The good old divide and conquer. Now the headman looked at Edison again. 'Cause my grandpa just had launched a really good swampy afterburner. And said, "Mr. Edison, with all respect, it got to be a pretty big chocolate hot dog you're sitting on, stinking it all up like that." And Edison now looked really pissed off. Edison couldn't just drop his pants to show that it wasn't him who crapped, because he was wearing his mother's underwear. That really turned him on, and made him super horny. And it would be too embarrassing if the other guy finds out that he's a complete weirdo. But listen now, the headman said. When this machine is working, it runs itself. But we know humans. There's gotta be a catch. A competition with no prize is just super gay. All man knows that. So let this competition be about money. Our good old friend. In the old days we gave them money to buy a pretty hat or something, if we needed to make them feel good. But in order to make my machine work we gotta use a whole lot of money. And if we manipulate schools, competition and money, we'll be able to produce 90% losers and 10% winners. And we need a lot of losers to make this work. But we also know that man don't wanna lose. So, we'll give him the illusion and a tiny little hope that everybody can be a winner. Because the machine makes sure of that. And that'll keep them in position and make them ready to fill in any gaps that might appear. It's very easy to adjust when it comes to money, schools and competition, and then we'll just write in the books that this is the way it's supposed to be. And that will make everybody happy, and they will go with it. We know mankind. If the new school system works, it will spit out 90% losers, all designed for one specific task, within a machine. Those 90% will be our ants. Now we have a machine based on schools, money and nasty competition, maintained by ants. But we need someone to run it. And for that operation we need those who are the easiest to manipulate. And here comes a genius plan. If the schools are run on competition and competition is run by fear, those who will win the competition will be those who are most scared. And you can manipulate scared mankind much easier. We let those who are the best at repeating what we're telling them be among the 10% winners. We've got the most skilled folks running the machine to extinction, which is the main purpose. Then we'll build them some extra fine schools and call them universities, and let them think they are better than ants. Now they won the competition of repeating. Those people will at this point be so caught up in the illusion that we will be able to make them say anything. And those people will be our parents. Remember folks, he said looking with great respect at Edison, who looked mega pissed off. The clock is ticking. We have 200 years to save all human from drowning by letting him choke on his own crap. We have to the date, 1st of April 2066. And he kept on with the plan. So, we got ants and parents. And now we need to stick their heads up their ass, according to the bet. The schools and the competition will make sure that everybody will be measured by his ability to maintain the machine. This is how my beautiful monster works. So the more you focus on your job, the less you'll focus on the things that might stop it. And dear counsel, to keep him focused on nothing but his job, and what's in the manual, and nothing else at all, we will provide him with the two most important things: bread and circus. In this machine there will be more than enough bread, but we need a circus. And this circus will be designed to satisfy third-dimensional brain. And from you, Mr. Edison, with great big respect, we have heard that you have stolen the concept of a radio device from Mr. Tesla that'll transmit our message to every home. With that, we can give him all kinds of fictional entertainment that won't be a danger to the plan, but it will keep him occupied. And when man is not bored, he's much easier to control. And, along with that, we'll invent a whole new generation of journalists, operating those radio stations. According to the laws of competition, they'll eventually start lying. And since man at this point is kept in the third dimension controlled by fear, those folks will run a freak show of weird scary stuff up all mankind's asses in an amount that's practically inconceivable on a 24/7 basis right there in their living room. Because man feeds on fear in that dimension. Fear is the fuel. You activate fear by telling a negative loaded story with the purpose of making the receiver imagine himself in that same situation, and by that provoke a negative response. That is fear. That response is within the human design, but he is supposed to see that stuff makes him sad. But that little simple, easy recognizable link between bad stuff and sad mankind cannot be seen in the third dimension. And fear is money, and people lie for money, and through that, Man won't be able to think clearly anymore. There will simply just be too many information pointing all kinds of direction, and mankind will get confused and scared of anything we choose them to be scared of. And this type of circus will be entertainment for the majority. And the majority will be dumb-ass losers who'll go with any crap we'll broadcast. And, hopefully, at some point, it will be used as a babysitter. You see, gentlemen, we got them by the nuts. They'll run out in all kinds of directions and never be united. Trust me, brothers, the Pounder said. I know mankind. He won't see it coming, and he will love it. It's so twisted at the bottom of the third dimension that fear makes you feel good in the right doses. We'll just find us some real stupid assholes, and make them journalists, and let them believe that what they are doing actually will save the world, while they are the single most negative factor in the whole machine. We can do it, Pounders. It's all within the school system. It's so easy to manipulate. Remember, folks, they're real stupid assholes. Correction, he said. We're the assholes. They are the stupid ones. And the headman started laughing, and the whole council laughed too. And then my grandpa in the closet started to laugh, mostly because the others did. And it made him crap his pants. Again. And the head guy kept on, while laughing almost hysterical, and said that he couldn't wait to see those dumbass stupid journalists coming out of the school, thinking they're saving the world, while they're running it down. And the whole council now laughed. Stupid is good. Only one thing is better than stupid, is stupid with money. And the headmaster laughed really scary. And it was so scary that my granddad activated a seriously big mudslide, filling up that tiny closet with nasty old Indian day juice diarrhea, and he could barely survive from the bed stink. Mr. Edison have told me, said the super ass, that he's working on a big screen that can be placed in everybody's homes, so it will be the closest to actually be there, telling them what to do. The most important part is that this technology makes sure that mankind will be entertained without having to get together. Because souls like to be together and brains like to be alone. But since the brain controls this reality, it will therefore be a part of the human reality. Just wait, fellow brothers. It might be a slow start, but we'll have them by the nuts when it's rolling. So now we got ants and parrots who don't know anything. Because the simple tasks they are designed to fulfill don't require that they are thinking about other stuff. All you have to concentrate on is your own little business in that big machine run by nasty competition. And the 90% losers will eventually face the fact that with so many other losers, it's a normal thing. And they will in the end put all their faith in those people who are the best to repeat what we're telling them. And mankind won't feel the need to think the thoughts that might blow the scam and unite humanity, because it's all eliminated in the repeating process. And if you don't think for yourselves, you got your head up your ass. Now folks, we've got ants and parrots with their heads up their asses. Let's now go back to the closet, where my granddad was close to suffocate from the gigantic diarrhea eruption, pouring out his sore ass, creating a mudslide of Olympic proportions. Now stinking the whole place up so bad that Edison also had a hard time breathing. And it really pissed him off. That they all thought that it was him who'd crapped his pants. But what could he do? He was wearing his mother's underwear, because it made him super horny. And that's goddamn sick, and worse. He was wearing a pair with skid marks, because that made him extra super horny. And that was goddamn extra super sick. How could he prove that he haven't crapped his pants while he was wearing his mother's crappy underwear? He was the smartest scientist on Earth, facing a problem he couldn't solve, and that really pissed him off. Well, back to the Pounder's plan. We have now turned mankind into ants and parrots with their heads up their butts. And we will finally go to the crap they are supposed to choke on, if we are gonna win the bet. For that, we've got to go back to our founding fathers And those goddamn queermos had those homo ideas about freedom and stuff that we don't like. But, those sorry butt pirates might have blazed the trail for us. 'Cause it seems like people really like their screwed up ideas. And this is the plan for making mankind finally choke on his own crap, up his ass, to save him from drowning. Like Noah. The most genius plan ever. Democracy. With that, dear pounders, we've got them by the nuts. In fact, them goddamn founding backdoor hippies had two words linked together, and that was democracy and freedom. Within my construction, those two words can be manipulated beyond any belief. Goddamn it, stinky in here, Mr. Edison. Damn big swamp dragon you're holding on to, son. Jizzicragston monkey balls. Damn. And he looked around at the council, which was pretty affected by the odor, and some of them were half asleep. Wake up, gentlemen, the headman shouted. With Edison, sitting there accused of crapping his pants. Like Judas, also did. Maybe it was the Last Supper after all, he thought. And he turned his anger into despair, and the young all-knowing scientist now had lost a part of himself. He had a problem but no formula, and it was eating him up. The head guy continued. In order to make man choke on his crab, up his asshole, we have to control his every movement, bending him over, and nice and easy stick crab up, where his head is. Democracy can help us with that. And, in order to suffocate mankind on crab, we'll need a whole lot of crap. And it means that we'll have to expand the butt limit of mankind in a way never seen before. All mankind's asses gotta reach the limit of what the natural design allows it to. According to my calculations, mankind's anus will reach the maximum size just before he dies. So he won't drown. Like Noah. And we'll win a bet. And then he laughed real scary. And that scary laughter was just too much for Grandpa's sore, stressed up, broken Indian anus. And now he just had to let it all go, and it was pouring gallons of old Mexican beef stew out that mutilated butthole. And it created a tsunami-like wave on a biblical scale, of diarrhea in the little broom closet with a force that could break out the door, but it survived. But all that thin nasty crap juice was now pouring out of the cracks, and the air in the room could really damage your health. Listen up, assholes. This is the hard part. The president said. We can all agree on that if we want to expand all humanity's butt limit, until the point he dies from it, it's not gonna work with violence. We've tried that. We gonna look deep within the soul of all man and push a button that everybody's having. And what I came up with is the same thing that drives us, gentlemen. The nice feeling of being in charge. And democracy will make sure of that, by giving all mankind a vote. Now he'll feel a little in charge. And that feeling is one of the biggest monsters of the third dimension. And it will make him super happy, pure psychology. But of course we don't want it to work. Because democracy is mega dangerous to the plan, if it works. And super gay too. So, we need something to disturb the delicate balance. And we will here use our good pounder knowledge about the soul and brain, and the fight between them, and simply scale it up to a national size. If we are gonna let mankind control himself, we gonna keep that fight in balance. If the brains win, we can't control shit. And if the souls win, I am afraid they're coming after us and spank our tight little pounder butts. So we need to keep that balance within the political system. The smart thing about democracy is you can control that fight in a large group of people, if you know how to manipulate it. So the plan is to let the brain side be in charge with the soul side holding it back from going berserk. So our job is to focus on those two forces to steer the machine. We will create two main directions within the political system. And they will be named socialism and liberalism. And it's a universal law that they can't work together. That's the essence of the human experiment. They are not supposed to work together. It will, As an universal law make a conflict, and conflict is third dimensional, therefore it will keep him from moving spiritually. The basic idea of democracy is compromise, and you can't compromise those. Of course socialism will be a danger to the machine, but we need it to keep the balance, so it can move. But of course, we'll make sure that the whole world will see that socialism is as dangerous in the hands of assholes than anything else you can come up with. And after that, socialism will work on the democratic principles, and pure socialism is not made for that. And I can't wait to see half the world fighting for socialism against the machine, not knowing that all they're doing is helping it go down by keeping it in position. But at some point, democracy will be as important as the air he's about to choke on. And those goddamn homos will at some point realize that they too benefit from liberalism, and human is stupid, especially socialists. At a point it is just all words. And they won't bite the hands that feeds them. Stupid-ass socialists. It's not within the design of the human mind to find a solution to the problem. And if you try to combine liberalism and socialism, you'll get absolutely nowhere in the political process, because the two forces will cancel each other out. That's an universal law. But you are not aware of that in the third dimension. There, it makes sense. And we exploit that. So basically, democracy won't work. That's simply within the design of humanity, but they are too stupid to see it. They will take a stand on each side of the river and scream and shout at each other while the boat is sinking. And if they for some reason can see the scam, they'll be too embarrassed to admit that they are too fucking stupid to find another solution. Because my plan leaves no alternative but democracy. Now what we know is that the basic idea of democracy just don't work. But, just to be sure, and as a complete eliminator of the trust that democratic forces are built on, I came up with the best idea ever. News. If we design those news folks right, they lead them democratic butts raw. They'll probably call themselves journalists. But these guys are cannibals. We'll just call it a free press. Nobody will ever know what that is. But the biggest assholes will understand it, as they are free to do anything. And those news folks are gonna slap them democratic buttheads with their goddamn homo ideas so hard on their queer nuts that they'll get so scared that they can't do shit. We can design them like packs of wolves, eating every inch of the democratic process. And it will end up as a slaughterhouse. And a free press can do anything. If they want you to be a kleptomanic necropedophile with flapjacks for tits, that's what you are. And those guys won't stop until every politician is sitting scared in each corner. The best part comes now. All the 90% losers just love to see a parrot with a bunch of wolves on his ass. And that will make the leaders even more scared. And scared leaders won't take big steps. They want to be safe with tiny little steps. Otherwise the cannibals will eat a good lump of the democratic fudge packer ass, and he might end up being a loser. And everybody will forget who he is, and that make politicians mega sad to think about. So the system freezes up, and if it moves, it'll be so slow that it will react after a disaster, and not before. The whole scam is, while all humanity is caught up, arguing about stuff that they don't have a solution to, we will slowly by the years favorize the production facilities and increase the population, and more people, more competition, less togetherness. And when, or if, they realize that it doesn't work, nobody can stop it, because you have to get together to stop it, and mankind have forgot how to do it, after a long time in the third dimension, where you work alone, because of competition. And that is what we need, if we want to kill all humans, so they won't drown, like Noah did, because they'll never agree on anything. And if they for some reason agree on something, we'll make elections once in a while that'll put in some new game of politicians. That'll spoil the work the former politicians made. But according to my plan, will the press at some point run the circus? And they are not good at leading people. They just want to find a new story they can change, so it can be true. You see, folks, a basically nice idea like democracy can be turned into a destructive power by sending in negative energy. Those press folks could have supported a good, nice, creative democratic process to help find the best solutions for mankind. And enlightening him with good, serious, constructive thinking. It's all about energy. If you know how to control it, you can do anything. Remember, those news folks weren't born assholes. We made them. And if we decide one day that the school system should be based on sweet loving, then everybody would have sweet butt sex all over the place. And a real good time. All about energy. Good and bad, soul and brain. So you can see now. We've got ants controlled by parrots who can't do shit. Democracy. I just love you. And the best part. Mankind will go to war and die for it. And they all laughed real scary. God damn it, stinky Mr. Edison, he said. After a short break. And for the first time the president sounded a little irritated. With all respect for your asshole Mr. Edison, I will say that it must be about enough crapping from your side today, mister. And he wiped his face. Due to the fact, the head pounder continued, that the stink now is so thick that it had become a solid substance floating in the air. And it is starting to attach itself to our faces. And it's pretty nasty. With solid crap stink on your face. That's almost real crap. For God's sake, Edison. And Edison was just looking down. Paralyzed with the problem and no formula. Not hearing anything anymore. Okay, let's move on. At this point mankind is pretty fucked. We've got him in a position where he feel in charge but unable to move. But mankind won't fall for that trick. Unless we give him a little extra. And it's democracy's good friend. Freedom. Since those goddamn fudge-packing founding pajamas game of fathers of this great nation had their crazy ideas, they used freedom and democracy as a cave brother right. And we'll use that. And to make that happen, we all thank you, Mr. Hitler. And you, Mr. Stalin. You are the worst assholes ever. And for that, we respect you. And they were both smiling and looked real proud. And I am sure that you'll be able to teach all mankind that there will be no other solution than democracy. And after you two assholes have terrorized a whole generation, democracy will mean freedom. It's practical the same word. Mankind will experience a whole new kind of freedom that he never had before. And freedom is dangerous, so we'll only give mankind the illusion of freedom. And I came up with the best idea ever. Banks. We'll make sure that the system is built on debt. We will simply print more money that there is value for. And that makes any economy unstable. And with just a tiny little push you can steer it in any directions you want. And we know where to push. So the plan is to reclaim man's freedom without his knowing by a very simple trick. And here it goes. When the young people have finished school, learning to repeat the manuals, they'll get a job, maintaining the machine. And of course, they need a place to live. And we can exploit that by giving them a loan for a house and then make them spend a lifetime paying it back. And they'll work the ass off. Not to lose their home. The real price of that home won't reflect its actual value. The value of the house will be set to reflect the time it will take to pay the loan back. That means that mankind will do a lot of work for free, and we will call it interests. And that free work is energy, and we will turn that energy into money, with absolutely no value. And pounders, money, that's a piece of paper with nice pictures on, if you have forgot it. And this system will drown in all the extra money with no value, and at a point will the economy live its own life. And when it gets there, even we can't control it anymore. When it's rolling, nothing will reflect its actual value. That kind of monetary system on the loose is the one we're looking for. To survive here you have to play the rules of the third dimension. And it means the bigger asshole you are, the better chance of survival. All we have to feed it with is money, coming from the free work, called interests. But we will come to that later. The most important thing is that the system leaves man no alternative but to work his whole goddamn life to be able to exist. And, gentlemen, basically we've traded their freedom for a place to live. And not much different than the old slave days. The genius part is that he won't get angry this time. So, this time we have to be real nice, how hard it may sound. But within my construction, mankind will love it, and feel rich and free in his own house. And be real happy that the bank will trust him so much that they'll sell him money for an overprice. He will feel that he won the competition, and if he want to keep on feeling good, in his almost own house, then he have no other solution to keep on working. With approximately 7 hours a day, 2/3 of his grown-up life. That's about the butt limit on work, due to the knowledge of the human mind. If it's less, people might get bored, and bored people starts to think, and we definitely don't want that. But if we cross the limit, mankind gets angry, and angry mankind is almost as bad as thinking mankind. So we have set the butt limit on work and will claim 2/3 of people's lives, to help us. Trashing the planet, they're paying to live on. And he won't see it coming. We have at this point eliminated a factor that may start the process of free thinking. And without that you're kept in the third dimension, and when you're there you can't fight this type of machine. This monetary system will change humanity because no one can't, at a point, control anything. So it is a perfect place to let greed rule. And greed is a third-dimensional monster that make the brain feel good. The souls will never stand a chance against this type of greed because the nasty competition have eliminated any moral issues that might appear. They'll be so happy. That's serious pounding, fellas. So, banks will be a real bad energy to add to the machine, because of the fear of it. And we need them to distribute all those many megatons of money we're about to print. Gentlemen, we've got them by the nods. Now we made all mankind happy. They think they are in charge and free. Again, dear assholes. If you know the human collective mind, it's like potty in your hand. At this point, the machine is stable. We have ants tending their little business, maintaining the different parts controlled by parrots unable to make any significant changes. All with their heads so far up their own goddamn ass they can't see shit. Oh, correction. The head pounder said. In fact, that's the only thing they can see up there. And laughing mega scary. And it is all powered by nasty competition. Now, we can begin to manipulate it. And we want it to move towards self-destruction by choking on its own crap. For that, we need a mix of money, competition, stuff and freedom. And you, Mr. Darwin. But Darwin didn't hear much. He was getting old and had a real bad problem with the incredible nasty stink, now in solid state, floating in the air, like one big crap cloud, and it had filled up his respiratory system with crap. And he died. He just wasn't fit to survive a room filled with crap. But anyhow, on our way to self-destruction, those components go hand in hand. And we will call the whole project capitalism. This is a machine within the machine that'll create just enough bad energy to make the whole unit move towards destruction. And with energy, you can create anything. And we will create crap to stuff up people's butts where their heads are. Truckloads of crap. We all know that crap doesn't exist in nature. Crap is made. And if you take nature stuff and mix it with future stuff, that mix will get a color and substance that will fit the description of crap pretty good. And Mr. Edison have told me he have a plan for how to mix those new materials that the future was so nice to crap out all over mankind. And he said he have a variety of different substances to make some real nasty crap. And the president looked at Mr. Edison. But he was just sitting there covered in a thick layer of materialized crap stink, unable to create a physical response. He was so caught up in the question about his mother's soiled underwear that he'd lost all time and space. Okay, let's move to Plan B, the president said. When Edison didn't respond. Let those monkeys we always use, when we don't know what to do. Mix the materials. They might come up with some nasty stuff. Now we know how to make crap. But we need to get enough to choke on. And here we have to use our good old friend, fear. And we all know fear's many naughty children that we love so much. Here, we will use one of the most powerful, greed. And capitalism will be powered by that. It's a genius component that will feed itself on production of crap. And the more crap it produces, the better it works. And Mr. Darwin, the president said, "Oh, that's right. Mr. Darwin is dead. Damn. He told me he had a really good theory that will perfectly support a system based on competition and greed. So he could make it legal for all mankind to be an asshole. Damn." The headman was thinking, okay, we'll use the monkeys again. Let them find a theory that we can call Darwinism. They might come in second when it comes to ideas, but we'll use what they've got. Capitalism, he continued. A nice beautiful invention that will make sure that we will drown in our own excrements. It will, along with its good companion, liberalism. B. By some people, mistaken for that you can treat your cave brother like shit, because the words capitalism and liberalism will go hand in hand with freedom and democracy. And all that liberalistic freedom can simply not be controlled within the human mind. And at this point mankind have the taste of real freedom for the first time in history. And it takes several generations to learn how to control freedom, because it's a very powerful force. And again we will thank those homo bud-grabbing ass-pumping gay fathers of this nation. If they only knew how much damage they've done. Because they had as one of the main goals for all mankind, the right to pursue his own happiness for all man. And that's what we need in a capitalistic system run by greed. And man will search for the butt limit of what happiness is, when happiness comes from crap. That's why it's so important to increase all mankind butt limit. Because we have to stop all that capitalistic crap up where his head is. You will never feel real happy with crap. Because it's crap. But third-dimensional brain can't see that. They will only see it as a part of a competition they won. But again fellas, you can't compete against greed. Because it never stops. Capitalism, powered by fear and nasty competition and greed, morally supported by freedom and Darwinism ruled by a slow and efficient democracy. And they'll go down having a party. And we know what to do. If we want more crap, we'll let those who produces the most and cheapest crap win the competition. And give them more money. But we got to make the production facilities as efficient as we can. For that I came up with the greatest idea ever. Nationalism. And with that we'll start a couple of wars. Theirs is nothing like a desperate situation that will make human mega efficient. And we'll build a lot of factories that will produce war stuff. And when the war is over, we got ourselves a perfectly well-oiled machine to produce crab, and a whole population that have proven to themselves that they can work 7 days a week on a 12-hour shift. And at this point we will set the women free, because they are the ones who are gonna operate the production facilities while the guys are killing each other. And they will for the first time in history get the nice feeling of being in charge. And they won't lose it again. That's a universal law. And when those women realizes that to keep their position, they have to keep working, after the war is over they'll work their goddamn feministic butt off. And after that, we have ourselves 90% of the world's grown-up population to produce crap. 2/3 of their lives. In the name of freedom. And an extra plus is that when you free 6,000 years of oppressed female energy, within a couple of decades, all mankind won't stand a chance. Because he have no protection. They operate under different agendas, unknown to man. That's why he kept women down, In the first place, the consequence will be that women will control mankind for a while, until the forces has cancelled each other out, according to universal laws. We will exploit that by making the capitalistic machinery focus on stuff that suck up to the female energy. And those women will go berserk in that system and spend both their own and everybody else's money. Women loves crap, and if they can't afford expensive crap, they will buy cheap. I know women, they want crap, and they will be in charge of every household at this point, and they will set the standard for how much crap mankind need. And without free women, we can't kill man. Besides that, some of the women will be super pissed off about the oppression thing. And from that comes mega bad energy, and just to scare mankind a little more, and for the good fun of it, we will create some super duper nasty, nutsy beavers. To scare all man, for the good fun of it. Now we are such nice big assholes. Can't wait to see those mean old Nazi beavers rip off all mankind's nuts. And he can't do nothing about it, stupid ass mankind. So, enough of those women. Can't live with them, can't kill them, he laughed. Oh correction, come to think about it, it's not true. In fact I've killed several women. But, of course, only in self-defense. Boys, back to the crap talk. Those guys who'll teach the new young generation to be really selfish capitalistic crap-producing assholes. And about freedom and Darwinism. And how they can use it to be real super monster assholes. Those guys will be you, Mr. Morgan, and you, young Mr. Rockefeller. The two gentlemen, now completely covered in crap stink, attached all over their capitalistic faces made them look like brown snow sculptures. They tried to react, but the crap made any physical gestures impossible. It sure was stinky. Mr. Rockefeller, and Mr. Morgan, you will show everybody that moral issues is a setback for a capitalist, and teach them that every day, you got to produce more than yesterday. Otherwise, they get AIDS or something. And here comes our coup de grace. In order to exploit the living hell out of mankind, we will, at this point, make everybody rich enough to make them feel like they almost won. We'll just print more money. And for that, mankind will thank liberalism, democracy, competition, freedom, and capitalism. Even though those four words originally are separated by different definitions, they will be unseparated in people's minds. So you can't attack one without going for the others, and they are all driving the machine down. Because that mix of those components will make him feel good, but the good feeling is just an illusion. And that's why it is so important that we keep mankind in ignorance. And the brain will get more and more power. And brains are stupid. They can't see the difference between crap and their sweet loving soul that is trying to help. It's so beautiful. And when capitalism produces crap, and crap is money and money is good, then crap becomes good, because of capitalism. All powered by competition. And the winner of the competition will in the end be the one who got the most crap. And that will mean that man will feed on crap. That circle will in the end change humans, and greed will be a birthright. And that will keep him in the third dimension. Because greed comes from fear. And the only way you can control your fear is, at this point, with crab. And we know mankind. If he got something that make him feel good, he won't give it back. It's like saying that mankind will give back the ability to use fire. It's just not gonna happen. So fellow brothers, we really got to print a whole lot of money for this to happen. So from tomorrow on, we'll have those printers rolling 24/7. It's party time. Because when all mankind find out that crap is good, he'll go bananas and work his ass off so he can buy stuff to make him feel good. He will feel good, and when mankind feel good, he repopulate. He just starts fuck around, screwing everybody, having kids all over the place. That's within the human nature. At this point, 1866, we are 1 billion mankind. And Due to my calculations, there will be around 16 billions in 2066 when the bed is running out. And according to my numbers, is it beyond the butt limit of the earth, and man will choke on his own crap instead of drowning, like Noah and all the animals. 16 billion people on a pursuit for their own happiness in a machine run by greed and nasty competition. That is the exact butt limit of Earth. So, to make the plan work, we want to focus on the medical resources to make people live longer, to work for a longer time. And we got to release the antidotes we've got to eliminate the big diseases. We need a lot of people for this to work. There will be so many that they have to live on top of each other. And mankind will work his ass off for crap. He will go to war and die for his right to possess crap. And in the end it'll mean that the more crap you got, the better you feel. And those ants will work their asses off to get stuff to feel good. It used to be the soul's job, but they are having a real hard time operating in this dimension. At this point, it's all brain. And even brains need love, so they are feeding on nasty love. And it's the third dimensional love for friends and family that has nothing to do with the universal love. That is love for everything. Third dimensional love starts wars. Third dimensional love is an illusion. And the souls are fighting against it all. But it's a lost battle. Because souls work together. And brains work alone. Cave logic. Just manipulate the energies. It's so easy when you got the power, and know how to use it. And at this point mankind's brain will have full control, and the souls have been replaced with crap. Most important is, always to focus on the competition. And as said, the more people the more competition. The only way you can win, is to run faster. One way or the other. And at a point this machine will roll so fast that mankind barely can hang on. Because a never-ending competition, like this, where you work for yourself, against the others, instead of the common good, only goes faster. It never slows down. Universal law, folks. Cave logic. At some point it will be necessary to expand the machine, to go global. And again we will use the soul and brain conflict, and scaled it up from a national fight to a worldwide. And with that, we'll establish a global communication net. This have three main purposes. First, we want the competition to go global. And we will go from, like it is now, where the competition is on a local basis, perhaps from one village to the other, via a national, to go worldwide. And a global competition need to communicate. And we need to overcome those massive logistic problems that will appear. This will be the only time we are gambling. Because communication is dangerous. And souls like communication, and they will be able to connect through the communication net. And I don't know if or how much we are able to control it. And it's a danger to the plan. But we can't kill man without it. Let's hope he's so deep buried in the third dimension that he won't see its full potential before the bet is running out. Because, at this point, mankind is caught in a competition that goes too fast for him. And all you smart assholes, we all know what happens to those people who participate in a competition that goes too fast for them. They usually end up losing. But you can't escape from the machine. And that means that in order to exist, you have to support it by adding some kind of negative energy. You simply cannot exist in this world without. And with capitalism in charge, everything will end up as one big crap. The clothes you wear, the food you eat, the house you live in, the bed you're sleeping in. Everything is made of crap. You can't even make laws against it. Because the paper they're written on is made of crap. And this is what we're waiting for. Because mankind will at some point see that it's all wrong. And he will come to the conclusion that it's too late. Because how the hell is he supposed to stop it if it has affected every aspect of his life? Most people will see it's wrong and come to the conclusion that we can't turn it around because we don't know how to. There's no alternative. And he'll give up. Dear assholes, We have the knowledge. We know man. If he knows that today is his last, he'll live like it's his last. And at this point we won. Mankind is hold scared at the bottom of the third dimension, and he will in the end be like little remote-controlled machines that we can steer in any direction we want by dragging a big crap in front of him. And he will follow the crap anywhere. And he won't see it coming. That's what separates us smart assholes from all the other assholes. We never get caught. If you get caught, you're just a stupid asshole. At this time my granddad was close to die from his own stink. It was really terrible. And out in the room, it was real bad too. After the stink had materialized itself, it had affected the council and its appearance. Everything was covered in excrement stink. And it dried up pretty fast, like glue. And now, several members of the council couldn't move. They were frozen in dried up crap stink. Poor Mr. Edison had lost all his human features and just looked like one big crap, still wondering about his mother's dirty underwear. Everything in the room was infected by my granddad's outer-worldly diarrhea attack. And the head pounder looked at the scenario and all the crap sculptures. The only ones who wasn't affected by it was Stalin and Hitler. Those guys just didn't take crap from no one. And the president thought that it could be mighty good pounder fun to make them have a little war in the future. And the head guy smiled with his crap-filled face, like he just got a great idea. But for now, he told the council about the plan. And this was about it. And no one was listening anymore. They all was just sitting there like Greek crap statues. The head pounder knew that there were so many elements in his plan that things might go wrong. But he knew about humans and good and bad energy in the human collective mind. The trick is to make them think it's good, when in fact it's bad. If I can pull it off, I'll beat the universe. And I'll be the biggest asshole ever lived. And he broke down crying hysterical while he saw the whole plan fulfilled in his imagination, all the fine little wheels making this evil master and roll. Beautiful, he shouted while he was so emotionally touched by his own genius. And all that shouting woke up poor Mr. Edison, and he broke his cover of crap stink and shouted, "Eureka!" And then he died. Mr. Thomas Edison never lived to tell the world how to convince another person that it's not him that have crapped his pants without showing his mother's soiled undies. The problem haven't been solved yet, but is often referred to as the Eddie's mother's crappy undie complex. The meeting was over, and the president was the only guy left able to communicate. He'd been able to steer out of the worst stink clouds while walking, given his speech. And all the other guys were just sitting there like crap mummies, covered in solid materialized crap stink. But Stalin and Hitler, who didn't took crap from no one, went to the men's room. They had to make a plan, they said. But the president knew better. Fucking queermos. Goddamn. I need those guys to go to war against each other, not backdoor bending at a big important pounder meeting. But I'll think of a way to make those two guys the worst enemies ever. Fucking bud pirates. The president packed up his stuff and on the way out, leaving all the brown snow sculptures, he gave it all a last thought. Those fuckers might find out at some point that they're choking on their own crap. But they'll never realize that they're choking on their freedom. To choke on their own crap. Freedom is good.